Okay, this is the March 26, 2021 meeting of the Tooling Working Group at the front of the recording. And I'll start sharing my screen too. Okay, and you guys can see this chime screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I've got the right one then. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Just we've got hello also to Matt and to Michael, who's joining us from Apex today.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
So I will just quickly okay. And then I'll take a quick look at the last meeting's action items, which the last meeting was on the 12th, and that's when we took notes deciding on our final decision for the Foxy backport. Action items was the future backport, which I do have open in case anybody hasn't seen it. So I'll just put a note there. Or at least open for review. We'll probably update this Foxy Future base branch before merging this to choose the final version that will actually be Foxy Future. This PR is just changing names and changing build stuff so that it's Foxy compatible. There's actually very little in terms of code changes. It's mostly like this is a very representative sample of we just had to change all the names to future. I really wanted to avoid that, but I couldn't find a way around that. The way that Ament is set up, the project name has to match the package XML, otherwise it has really subtle downstream effects if you go around the error that it throws. So that is there for everyone to look at. Another passive SimTime design, which is something we're going to talk about today, which has been done, and then discourse post asking for RCube maintainers. I still haven't done, and Aaron's been asking me to do that for a few weeks now, so I really ought to get that done. So that's the housekeeping from last time. I don't think we have any community pull requests. Nope. Okay, that's that for housekeeping, just a couple minutes today. Tyler, I notice you are here today, so was there specific topics that you had in mind you wanted to bring up today, or are you just here to hang out?
I'm just here to hang out for the first half of the meeting.
Cool. Okay, other than that then, we can get talking about Rostools 2 sim time, and if we exhaust that conversation, we can go take a look at the backlog. I opened last night this issue, which will help track the overall feature progress of our playback time control, which is, you know, it's a variety of features. So I've listed here under completion criteria, I'll say feature list. The list of things that we actually want to get done as part of this. Michael's joining us today because he's got an implementation for pause and resume and change rate. Something I can add to this list is external source is the play next message while paused, which was something that is not considered right now in the design document, which has been merged after it was approved and given a few days to settle, but we can always update the design with new with new stuff. If we want to make pull requests against that to modify or extend the design, that's not a problem at all. So I thought that this would be helpful in tracking everything we're trying to do, because there's a lot to it. It's a complex feature set, and it needs to all be taken into consideration when we're building it. And that's what I've got there. So if any of you have opinions on this stuff, this would be a good issue to follow, or to participate in. I'm happy to, right now I'm implementing things sort of in this order, but not exactly. As you can see, I've opened a draft for a publishing clock because I believe that if we just publish the clock, that actually meets the galactic roadmap item, but we made the design a much more complete feature than just this little bit. This little bit's nice to have, and so I'll get it in early in this process, and then we can get as much of this as we can in time for galactic and continue pushing through so that it's definitely all in HTurtle if it doesn't all make it into galactic. Michael, is there anything you wanted to talk about now, like a specific topic you wanted to cover?
Not exactly, just in case participate in discussion if you have some suggestion. So I tried to think about how to implement play next message last night. I also don't have straightforward plan to it, and it seems we'll have to have some dependency in player, like keep vis-a-vis in pause mode or vis-a-vis in playback mode, and somehow make interaction with clock adjustment class. So
yeah, I was thinking about maybe it makes more sense if I actually pull up my my editor. Are you guys able to read the dark theme all right? That's readable-ish.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. I know it's always hard to read text on a screen share anyways, but I'm going to change my screen share source over to the source, and this might be so I was thinking that, maybe for play next, and let me know if this idea doesn't make that much sense. But I was thinking something that could work is, once we add the jump to some time point, time, then we could do something like in the player, we could have a function that's basically like void player play next, right? And this would say if clock paused, or if the clock's not paused, right? That's an error, or just say return, and then it would be something like read next timestamp. We would say that's the next message is timestamp, and then we would say clock jump.
Yeah, you want to adjust to the next position in time where its message should be in, like let's play. Maybe makes sense. Need to consider some maybe complicated, but I also thought about this. It looks like it's legitimate way to do this.
Yeah, I was thinking like it looks pretty simple in terms of implementation, which was something I liked about it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is we were paused, this clock thing, and this is probably something like more. This is probably going to end up looking like while not, whatever, void, because this can return false. So while this is paused, this will just go in there and sleep repeatedly. But then if we do a time jump to the next time, then all of a sudden this will wake up and publish, and it'll still be paused, so it won't play the next message again after that. So I think it might be pretty clean implementation there, which might be nice. I think we could get that done.
Yeah, from first glance, it looks like clean and beauty, but yes, need to actually consider some corner cases. I need more time to figure out and elaborate with it.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely not gonna be getting to play next right away. So if that's in terms of us parallelizing our work, because as you can tell, I'm actively working on this as well. I think that would be a great place for you to focus on, because that's not where I'm looking at right now. If you wanted to pay attention to that portion of the feature.
Yeah, I can do it. It a little bit depends from from jump, and jump probably to the late stage.
Yeah, so
late stage, so it's kind of.
Well, I'm also not working on jump yet. So if you wanted to take on that portion of it, you can see that I'm starting to, build more functionality. Like, okay, I've got the initial one. You left some comments on here. I wasn't sure I agreed with all of them, but I appreciate you taking the look at it, and this is useful discussion, nonetheless. So in here, this doesn't match up with the full extent of the design. I only added the functions that we're implementing right now, and I want to implement them. Yeah, but if you wanted to take on adding jump, I think that would be really useful. My next step that I'm going to work on today is for pause and resume on this interface. Something that I was working on here was making the Python interface easier to use. So if I could get another set of eyes on this pull request. This one makes the Python portion a lot simpler. So I've created a ROSbeg2py. Let me just hide comments for now. I've exposed storage options and play options to Python so that you can just create a transport and say transport.play, which makes it easier as we add more play options here, which will be nice, I think. So that's part of. Yeah.
I would like to ask who will be doing play pause functionality. I just confused a little bit. Do you want me to do this, or you would like to do this?
I would like to do this, unless you feel really strongly that you are going to get to it today.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I'll put up a draft for it by the end of today, and we can then talk about the implementation there. I don't know if it'll be the final thing. Sort of like I have a draft open for clock publishing. I won't open it I won't say it's ready for review until we've merged all its dependencies. I've got 2 open here that it's depending on, but it's pretty small. But I'm not positive.
Yeah, I have seen your branch, so yeah. But it looks reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. I just wasn't sure whether the clock should own the publisher. We only just like a couple of days ago added the RCL CPP dependency to ROSbeg2 CPP, which is where the clock lives. And so as of like a week ago, the clock could own a publisher, but I'm not sure if I want to put that there. That's the only question. Like, that's my only real concern with this PR. Yeah, so I'm planning to try to get these 2 first ones merged as soon as we can, especially these bug fixes. I've got this one's just running CR right now. 500 error. GitHub.
Yeah, it might be style.
Yeah.
Emerson, I have a question also. So, in ApexCI, we would like to have external direct access API to the player class. Is it possible will be in future to move it to be available externally from library, like player and recorder?
Yeah, so what I was thinking, and what I've done, let me pull up this other branch.
It might be a separate topic about this, but it may be out of scope of implementation of this feature, but still
No,
consider this.
it's important. It's absolutely important. I think we do need to be thinking about this right now as we build these features to make sure that we can at least. Okay, so in the
It even would be
Python,
easy from testing perspective. So for writing tests for this current feature, it will be much easier.
so I was thinking because really like that the player and the recorder specifically are right now they're considered implementation details of the transport. So you've got ROS2 transport and it has a reader and a writer, and inside it uses the player and the recorder, but it's the public API is really like play and record from the transport. And so what I've done on the Python side is exposed this ROS2Py transport that I haven't moved record over yet, but the plan is to move record. And I was wondering, like, maybe it does make sense to have a player and a recorder separate from this transport thing. This is just the way it's been structured so far. And I didn't want to.
Yes.
What I wanted to avoid was just moving everything that the player depends on into public API, because I think our public APIs are cluttered in a way that makes them really hard to manage for API compatibility. This is the problem we had with the Foxy changes, is that all our APIs are so public that the changes we made for performance improvements made them impossible to backport into Foxy.
I got your point. Let me try to think about this. Maybe I can even prepare some pull requests to consideration.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it in theory. I think that it makes sense, especially because like if we go into here, like right now, I have to construct a reader and a writer in order to create a transport, which I can then call play on. And I need to get rid of these prints.
But actually, you don't have to. So actually, it will be much cleaner if you will have this class. I have a suggestion. Actually, maybe I need to express it in issue. So actually, to kind of restructure this transport class, because it looks like it's completely all these functions, all these methods of his methods, is completely independent. Like player. Only play. It doesn't care about reader. It doesn't care about recorder, and the same for others for init. So we can even kind of somehow restructure it as a way we can transform this class to the namespace with the same name.
Yeah,
So
I'm starting to see that. I think I agree. Like I'm looking at this class and I don't see really why we need it.
Yeah.
It probably makes more sense to get rid of the transport and have explicitly a player and a recorder.
It will be even better. It will be even better.
Okay. No, I see your point there. So I'd like to, if we want to do that restructure, it'd be nice to do that first, and then we can use those things and expose more on them. Sort of like I'm doing this incremental exposure to Python. And this will be nice as we add more play options. And I agree, this will make it easier to interact with from direct API as well. And it doesn't stop you from exposing those same APIs as services. You can still do that. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Hold on, a little bit to clarify. Are you agree to replace this class completely with direct access to the play info and recorder from Python, or you would like to do this iteratively, like firstly move it to the namespace, like transform class to the namespace, and then try to see how it will figure out?
I think that we should.
How do you see this?
Yeah, I think that we should replace the ROS2 transport class entirely with two purpose classes, one player and one recorder. So ROS2 transport player and ROS2 transport recorder, I think would be better.
And we have one more in info.
Oh, can info be implemented as a simple function on the player, or is info have different requirements?
It's just unrelated to player at all, as far as I understand.
Well, it's a reader, right? But you just decide not to play it. You just grab its information.
Yeah.
So to me,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we can do it.
yeah, like, it has or info, fonts, whatever, right?
But you know
The
what?
only
It will be a little bit confusion if you will have internal class in namespace transport player, and we will have internal class player. It will be 2-player classes. It's a kind of confusion. Do we really need this layer like transport class
well,
call?
I would think that we would like, because right now this player.hpp, this is a private implementation internal. I think that we would probably rename this to like player implementation or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, because this I think that putting Rostbeg 2 transport this class name right now is really
yeah, confusing.
Yeah. Well, it's way over. It's not necessary. It's redundant. I mean,
Okay,
I would have
got
called
your
this.
point.
Yeah.
I got your point. So rename current player and recorder class like player implementation and recorder implementation. Create new classes for player and recorder, which will expose limited amount of API and limited amount of exposure of elements. Okay, makes sense for me.
And then I think you could have set pause.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm happy to review a PR that looks like that. So yeah, go ahead. I will continue working right now on the player clock functionality, and then we can, if we tie this in, that's good. Okay. Yeah, I like that plan. I would be happy to review that PR. And I do think that if we can expose a player and a recorder also to the Python side, that maybe makes this look simpler too. Because again, I don't have to you don't have to create the other kinds of readers and writers.
Yeah.
On a slightly unrelated note, another thing that I really want to do soon is get rid of sequential compression reader and writer and just have there only be one type that knows how to call compression. Because right now we have to do all this logic to construct a different kind. But that's unrelated. I'll get to that in time for Galactic if we have time.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. This would be a really nice interface. And then also if you want to get started on the play next proposal, if you feel like it adds value, I think it would be useful to add a note about play next to the design document that we just merged.
Okay.
Because I think it's relevant. So it doesn't have to be very detailed, just a quick suggestion in that doc of saying this play next is a feature we want to have. It can only work while it's paused, and we plan to use jump in order to implement it. Something like that. Yeah. Okay,
I got the point. I will do.
Cool. Yeah, I feel good about this. I think it'll be. I think we'll be able to make something good if we're working together in parallel on this. Definitely be able to make more progress.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you don't mind, I would like to send some of the reviews your way. I think Karsten's been really busy on ROS2 control and some internal Bosch stuff, so he hasn't had a lot of time to give for reviews. So the more reviewers I have, the faster we can go too.
Yeah, I don't mind to review
if you
this
have time
feature.
for it,
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Feel free to send this to review me.
Cool. Is there anything else we need to cover about that right now? I feel like we have a pretty good plan.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to, let's see, change back to my browser window. Notes. So this is prospect to playback time parallel work. Okay, so I'm going to say split Prospect to transport into player and recorder classes. Play next message, update to design. And then this is going to be how does resume on your clock. Okay. And then also I am working on the load clock, which is mostly done, but I'd like to add some tests and to make sure that there's no complaints about the high level there. The next thing I would plan, once I'm done with this, the next thing I would plan to work on is change rate during playback. And these would all be at the level of the player, so we would still need to figure out how to expose them. So I have here a separate line item for controllable by keyboard handler, and I think that this is really valuable functionality. So I would like to figure out how we can expose this, and I think it makes sense to do it at the Python level. It doesn't have to be Python though. It could be a C++ node that runs, or a C++ that runs, alongside the bag core functionality. So I'm not sure exactly how this looks in terms of implementation, but if you have thoughts, we could implement one that is, say, Linux only and just mark that on it. And as long as it's separate from the core, that's okay.
I mean, I
So-
think if you... Go ahead.
I can say that I have implementation for Linux and QNX inside C++. It handles it just spawns separate thread and handle keyboard and interact with player class. So this is what I have, and I probably can quickly implement. But how to do this in Python, really, I don't know.
Okay, I don't think it has to be Python, and I think once you have the player class separated out, this will be this can be really clean. It could be a node that the ROSbag2 thing. Ooh, yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Let's.
Actually,
I
can also tell you that this functionality with keyboard handler helped me a lot to debug actually behavior and write properly functional logic for play resume. So it will be very helpful for development as well, for verifying that your algorithm correctly. Because it was a lot of issues related to when you go out of resume after you change rate or after you played few next messages. It was incorrectly playback rate after pause immediately, then it's stabilized. So I catch a lot of issues with this functionality. It will be very helpful for development.
Yeah, nice. Hopefully we'll be able to write unit tests for some of those, given the way the clock can take in a fake time source. So I'm hoping we can catch some of those issues with unit tests. But I agree that trying it live is useful.
Yeah, it's difficult. It was difficult to catch with unit test because it's timing, and you need to measure timing like speed of playback after you go out of pause, and it's difficult to measure this in test because otherwise the test will become flaky test if you rely on timing. It's difficult to rely on timing and robustly and deterministically test this.
I was thinking we could make it deterministic by doing the way that I wrote these tests here, which is test run and player clock, which is most of this PR. And it's that I've got this fake now function that the clock takes, and so you can actually control wall time, so you don't have to depend on timing to get your test right. All of these tests, we are mocking out the actual wall returns time, and since we're using a steady clock, I think we can recreate most real world situations pretty accurately.
I have not yet reviewed this part. I need to think about it.
Yeah, I specifically had the clock take in a function for now, which defaults to steady clock. So you don't have to pass that in, but for testing, you can basically hijack the way that it understands steady time.
I was just going to say that I worked on a project where we tried to interact with the keyboard in a platform independent way, and I just say that it's not trivial to do that and make it work in Windows and Linux nicely. So if it's important to support Windows, I would say it's probably even easier to just write a C++ Windows node that does all the keyboard stuff too, than to try to write it in Python in a way to where it'll play nice in both. You'll end up with subtle bugs in both.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion about what language it's implemented in. Whichever one makes it easier for us, definitely. You would hope that we'd have like a cross-platform keyboard handling library, but I know that's hard.
You would hope, but cross-platform.
I mean, I guess we're not using SDL, which to me, like, that's the first one that comes to mind when I'm like, oh, cross-platform keyboards, displays.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's interacting with devices in a cross-platform way is. I mean,
you don't want to write that code yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's very different for Windows and Linux.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I would normally try to do, the thing is, this might be overkill if we just want a little bit of keyboard handling. This does everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to take off, but it's nice seeing you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for the input.
Yeah.
Of course.
See you next time, or the next time that you're here.
Yep. See ya.
Okay. So, what I think maybe we could do is, and this is just thinking out loud. I'm wondering if maybe we should have like ROS2 run ROSBEG2 Linux keyboard that takes the same command line arguments, but is not part of ROS2 bag record, or maybe we have a platform check that says that like internally. So when we do,
I have platform check internally, so implementation, and when it's play, it's firstly check if it's platform compatible, and expose keyboard handling and show and print out hints how to use keyboard handler.
Okay.
If it's Windows, it will not do anything. It just will skip this part.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, my only concern is that I'd like to, again, keep it away from the player itself. I don't think the player should know about that. It should just have an API. So I'm wondering if maybe in play we do something like a transport is a transport, and we have also exposed, something like to py import Linux keyboard handler, something like that, and we say like
excuse me, I don't see where you're typing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at my editor again. Let me just share this screen, and then if I switch over to the editor, I think that worked, right?
Now I see.
Okay, yeah, so I was thinking maybe in play, this can be implemented in C++ and just exposed via pybind to this layer, and then maybe we could have something like at this command line interface layer. Say we have a keyboard handler, and we probably will say, actually, we have like some player, and then we say player play, but we also give, let's see, maybe
You want to pass instance of player inside keyboard handler to be able
Yeah,
to
exactly.
handle.
Yeah, something like that, and then spin this up in its own thread. And this can be implemented in C++, but just at this command line level, we'd create both things.
Yes,
and then
it's a little
separated.
bit. It may be problem with corner case when it will be something bad happened with player might crash and became invalid, and a Linux keyboard handle still will be alive. It's different thread and have pointer to the corrupted or unexisted player object. It also will involve unpredicted behavior, so it's difficult to synchronize this two in corner cases. I thought about this. It's just how to handle this corner case when something wrong happened to this player and became invalid object. But
well, I think if the player crashes, I mean, it's not ideal, but I think if the player crashes, it's okay if this keyboard handler also crashes.
But you know, it will be not crash, it will be just undefined behavior.
Oh, well, so I would assume if we call player play and this crashes, the function will then exit and destroy the keyboard handler right away after that undefined behavior happens. But I'm not saying that's perfect, but it's probably okay, you know.
Need to think about how to, because it's some way Linux keyboard handler should know when to exit from infinite loop. So it's kind of infinite loop to handle keyboard, and you need some condition when to exit. Again,
maybe it's we'll just have to add some synchronization. I don't think it's not solvable. I think we just need to...
I got your idea of how to implement it in Python. I just need to elaborate and maybe think about it more.
Yeah, that's good. But I think that this is the way we'd want to approach it. And that way there, you can call it directly, but you don't have to put any of that into the player. So, yeah.
I understand your point.
Okay. So I'm just going to put down here that considering keyboard control for player. I'm not saying you're implementing it yet, but you're thinking about it, just taking notes.
Yeah, make sure.
Okay. And then I'm going to say exchange rate. Okay. I think we have a lot to do. I think we have a good plan. I don't know if we need to go into it anymore right now, unless there was another part you wanted to talk about.
No, so far so good.
Cool. Okay. Hey, Matt, was there anything you wanted to talk about today? We merged Jacob's reindex or core portion, so I'm looking forward to seeing the command line. That means Galactic will have reindex. Haha.
Nice. And then you see David, I think, got his new pull request all set up. Or what was he was going to base it on top of something else. He did what he thought he was supposed to. So.
Yeah. So he, I think, got a little bit confused about what am I looking for? Is it here? It's got to be here. Mute. There we go. I'm calling this future mute and not pause on pause. Also, I'm going to close this one that it replaces.
Okay.
Oh, he marked it as a draft while he's working on it. I asked him to do that and to mark it ready for review when it's ready for review.
Okay. Awesome.
So I changed the name up a little bit and rewrote the description just so this is all really clear, and changed the base to master so that it's not pointing at the other one. I think that he might just not be familiar with the GitHub interface, so I just went ahead and did that after he asked.
Okay.
So when this is ready for review, I will review it. So far, I have not looked at it at all.
Okay. I'll follow up with him and see.
Guys, isn't it will be easy to do this mute on mute? It's playback, right? Mute on mute. Just maybe have a flag inside player class and just.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking.
Easier.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. This life cycle thing was it was a
It's
thought.
overkill.
Yeah, I think it might be overkill. I kind of agree. I wish Karsten was here to argue with us about that because I think he has more opinions about it.
Okay.
I guess this feature could be implemented much easier with player class with one flag. It's almost like a few
Oh
lines
dear.
of code.
Yeah,
With new
I think
interface and few lines of code.
so. So this start pause, like we could implement start paused really easily with this new clock design.
Yeah.
So I am worried that.
I bring it up with him. Maybe it's something I should try to get him in one of these meetings to have a discussion about.
Yeah, I'm. Well, so if this was the Rust 2 core, I would say it's too late. But
Right.
it's not core, so we have a little bit more time. Our absolute hard deadline to get features in is, I believe, May 17th.
Okay.
And I would like to have the feature set stabilized before that, just so that we have time to let it bake and try it out and have people testing or using our features before the release. So I don't have a hard date on that, but I'd like to get it all in, probably by the beginning of May or that first week of May, if possible. So that's a soft deadline I'm going to put on our features. Yeah, so if you could get him to come to one of these meetings or just,
Next
I don't
one.
know, be more vocal on this issue about what's going on. Because he hasn't actually, there's code here, but there's not a lot of communication around the approach. And so
Okay.
I just haven't spent the time to look at it.
Okay, I'll try to touch base, see if we can clarify some of that and come up with
Cool.
way forward.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at this. I'm a little bit worried that that this might be overshadowed by this new design entirely.
Okay, I'll make sure he's aware of the new design then. And
yeah, if you can point him at the epic, that's probably a good place. Because then that points to all of the related PRs and issues we have going on right now.
Okay. Was the epic, that's an issue in Rostbag too?
Yeah, it's number 696.
Okay.
Go. And then we've got. I'm trying to tie issues to these feature requests. Not all of these features have an associated issue, or some of them are handled by multiple, but. After timestamp. Start pause interaction. I'm going to say that this one, being issue number 55, is the one that we'll use for this. Callback for recorded messages. Oh, this is different. This is recording, not playback. Yeah. Which we are not doing recording work right now. Although I think that some of this will make some of the restructuring we're doing will make it easier to do.
It's some point in those tasks it was issue like having callback. It may be a separate issue, but it also relates to the playback. In some cases, it might be useful for customers, for users, to have callback after playing one message, like somebody.
This one was. Yeah, I agree. But this issue is specifically about recording.
Yeah.
So pause, resume recording, which is a little bit different than pause, resume play. But I think a lot of the API restructuring that we're doing will make this feature much easier to implement. And if we move fast, maybe we can get this in time for Galactic 2.
Okay.
But I'm not putting it on the required list. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all of that, then sorry, Matt, I might have cut you off. Was there anything else?
No, that's all. Just wanted to.
Okay.
You've seen David's progress.
Cool.
Yep, I'll point him to the new thing and see what he has to say.
Sounds good. And then with the last few minutes here, I'm gonna just take a quick look at the backlog to make sure there's nothing we're missing. And I guess it's been not too long since we looked at this. I'm gonna ignore CloudWatch metrics. I'm moving that over to an AWS organization so that we don't maintain it here anymore. It's not really appropriate as a ROS tool. It just was created here at a time for a reason that is not valid now. Okay, cross-compile Android support. Ooh, boy, I'm going to put that in the IX box. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Help wanted. I would love to get to some time to work on cross-compile, maybe after Galactic, and we're done with all these Rostbag 2 features. Okay, this one was a question. Which is closed. So why is that not in closed? I'm just going to drag it over there. I closed it as stale. It was a question that I didn't get any more information on, so no need to worry about it. Join or stitch together multiple ROS bags. That makes sense to me. I think I said something along those lines of this makes sense. So I'm just going to say help wanted because we have no immediate plan to work on it, but it's absolutely a sensible issue to the backlog. Request for user-friendly tutorials for Rostools. Oh, yeah, that's great. Maybe after Galactic, I'll have a chance to do this, unless someone else is able to. But for now, I'll just put it to the bottom of the backlog. I think that the Foxy or the official ROS tutorials could use a tutorial on how to set up your repository to use the ROS tooling action CI because we're now accepted into Rep 2005. That's news actually that I guess I should share. It's not super big news, but let's see. Closed. The CI actions are now considered ROS common packages, and that's specifically Action ROS CI, Action ROS lint, and Setup ROS. So they now count as contributions for TSC consideration, which is nice. So yes, backlog. I'm going to say this is documentation. Prevents building ROS1. Oh, this is. He says he might look at it again in a few weeks. So I'm going to say more. Yeah, that we have a question and that we don't need to do anything about this right now. So say it's in progress until it goes back to the backlog as something. Because we're waiting for his feedback. I said, did you try this? And he said, maybe later. Okay. Record topic before it exists. I'm gonna, this is 3 weeks ago. I'm going to close this as stale for now. Please reopen it if the above comment didn't resolve your concern. Then we've got, this subscribers are executed in different threads. There's been an interesting conversation between Adam and Barry and Tomoya on this one about the performance of the recorder, which is good, and I'm not super up to date on it, but it's actively going on, and it sounds like they have some idea about using a multi-threaded executor for the recorder, which is fine to me. So I'm just going to say that this is, well, it's even in progress because there's active discussion going on there. Support record enhancements from Rostools Fancy, which is really like, it's just an extra, it almost looks like a curses-based printing while you're recording, which is cool, but
yeah, I also think this is cool. It would be nice to have it inside our recorder.
Yeah, so it's nice to have, but I've put the help wanted tag because I don't know when anyone would be able to get to this, so it's a good request. That's the most I have to say about it right now. We might need, let's see, what did I say? Okay, I'd like to see a design proposal before an implementation. That's all. So if someone decides to pick that up, they can talk about that. And then cross compile. Yeah, workspace overlaying. Right now, it only considers a workspace in isolation, but if you have multiple cross-compiled workspaces, I think it's totally legitimate to want to use that. So this is right now help wanted and bottom of the backlog, but also legitimate feature request. Okay, that's all the new issues. That's what I wanted to make sure to look at today. Why is this not rendering properly? This is done. I finished it. Back performance improvements, that is still in progress. Well, it's really in review. Different threads. This one, yeah, waiting for a response. And then support zero copy transport. There is a PR open for this, and probably I should review it. How is this looking? This was 2.5 weeks ago. Looking at
Emerson, do you have some particular question regarding to this one? Maybe I would have aware about this because it's probably from us.
I don't. I just noticed that Karsten left a review, and I wanted to ping the author to make sure that they didn't miss this.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any questions specifically. I just want to. I'm guessing that they, maybe missed this notification or something, or have been working on something else. Is this someone you work with?
Not directly, but I'm aware about this feature.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all. I don't have a specific thought. I just want to ping the author to make sure it's moving.
Okay.
So that's still in progress. Then convert verb. Is this actually in progress? A year ago. No. Oh, this one's got lost. This guy stopped working on it. I don't necessarily want to dig into this right now. But this is going to need a pretty big rework based on how much has changed since a year ago. We might even close it at some point.
Actually, it's a valid request. It's requesting like if you, for example, have a ROS back recorded on different RMW implementation, for example, RTI or faster TPS, and you would like to replace this in Cyclone. So currently we use converter on fly, but maybe it will be useful to use this verb convert to convert old recorded format to the newest, which is different RMW implementation, and just save it. And it will be without playback really. It will just use our primitives like interface, like playback and record and storage to do this. I just telling you the idea.
Yeah. No, I get that. I agree that it's useful. I think that this implementation is a year old now, and so it's it's not going to match with what's it's got significant conflicts in the merge now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. It's I don't know if this person is still interested in working on this, so we might have to start over or at least rework it a bit. So that's all. I'm gonna leave that for now. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to look at. Oh, this is also almost a year old. This guy was working on some Prospect 2 stuff for a while, and then I didn't see him again. So he might have moved on to a different project. Oh, I'll have to point this at Jacob. Okay, we are at time, so I'll have to call it a day. But it sounds like this is really interesting. We just ran into this problem when adding tests for the reindexer. I totally forgot about this, but it sounds like this was already a known issue, and I forgot about it or missed it. That if you record on Linux, you might have problem playing back those same bags on Mac, which is exactly the problem that we had with the test, was that his test bags that he recorded on Linux weren't openable with this exact error on Mac, but the ones that I recorded on Mac were readable everywhere.
Guys, do you have idea what is root cause of this issue?
No, I have no idea, but I'm glad. Well, it sounds like they have a proposed fix to open read write, even if you're doing read only, because it at least fixes it for them. So it sounds like they have a solution, if not an actual reason for it happening. So this is something we should consider. Taken care of. So that's 45. I'm gonna a little pin. I mean, Mac is not a tier 1 platform for Galactic, so it's less important now, but it would be nice to fix that anyways. They're still going to be Mac users. Okay. Thanks, guys, for the discussion today. I think that was really productive, even though it was a small group. And I'll see you the next time. I don't think I'm going to cancel the breakout for next week. I am not planning to have it. Okay. Thanks so much. I will see you later.
Thank you. Bye.